It is the Zoom room with Jonny Ward standing in for Luke Tarr with Silvestre de Sousa and Bill Esdaile. And on this show, we're going to look at the Saturday, the final day of the York Ebor Festival. And it is the Ebor, which is the centrepiece of the Saturday at York. And what a week it's been in general. And if you are betting with Star Sports throughout the week, do remember on the ITV races that if you are beaten by a neck or less, pipped at the post, the pipped at the post offer, you get your stake back to a pony or less, essentially. How are we keeping, lads?
All good. How are you?
Silvestre de Sousa, you have a big ride in the Ebor. Let's cut straight into it. A fascinating race. Saldier not declared. Favourites being basically rendered a probable non-runner now because of Shanro getting in the Irish horse. And it's a fascinating race. You were riding Alunak, and this has been his target for some time.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and he ran a good race last time out, but the Ebor is not an easy race, like everyone knows. But I'm glad I'm in the race, and I give my horse a chance.
What did you make of his run at Goodwood?
Was a bit of a messy race, and when I want to get out the pockets, I couldn't really fight for a room because of the conditions of the ground. And when opened up, he didn't quick as good I thought he would do, because he hit the part of the just getting to the top of the hill, the rising ground, and he just didn't take off. But I still think he was a bit more in the tank than the performer he showed that day.
It's interesting that he's only ever run once over a trip beyond a mile and a half. That was in a listed race in Germany in 2019 when he was second over a mile and 6. Where do you see him trip-wise?
And I think he's fine. He has run in the Canadian International, finished fifth, I think, out there. It was a good run. And when he won this year, he slipped down a bit in the handicap. Now he runs in the handicap, for a horse used to run in the group races. So, and it's not an easy race. Like when you look at the top horse and, and compare him. But we finished very close last time in Goodwood. So, I think in a better ground, we could race better. He could be a better horse.
And are you happy with him tactically, considering how the race might work out with such a big field?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, this time could be all different.
Bill, there's a bit of drama in this race, obviously, with Shanro getting in and the favourite not running as a consequence.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out a bit nearer the time whether Live Your Dream sneaks in. He's a first reserve, and obviously he will be a warm order if he gets in. Anti-post bettors beware, because he'll obviously still be factored in, and there'll be rule 4s if he comes out. It's a great race, as you'd expect, with the prize money on offer. Real head scratcher. You can make a case out for half a dozen at least, probably a dozen. I like the other Godolphin horse. I thought Global Storm would run well. Charlie Appleby, William Buick rides him. He's about a 16-20 to 1 shot pre-declarations. So I don't know what his revised price will be, but he goes well on quick ground. It looks like it's going to be quick ground. There's no real rain about, that can all change. But he was pretty good at Newmarket behind Live Your Dream last time, and is a much bigger price. But I still think he's progressive and going well. Global Storm, so I think he'll run well. And as for the others, looking towards the top, I thought Away He Goes ran really well. Ishmael Muhammad's horse ran really well at Goodwood. He was second to Trushan on soft ground, and previously run behind Hookham at York. But some of the Maidan form is pretty solid over a mile and a half. So the mile and 6 on this kind of ground might be perfect for him. And I just think he's overlooked because of his connections at around 16 to 1. So I'm probably going to bat with those two. I'd take Global Storm, and Away He Goes.
Just to give a mention to Mount Leinster as well, Willie Mullins obviously had Saldier the Galway hurdle hero. Mount Leinster, who was a highly rated horse, and he won his bumper first time out, but he only managed to win one subsequent race over jumps in 10 starts. Completely different proposition on the flat, and he's coming here now with a rating of 105 under Jason Watson, and he is going to be a fascinating runner, and what is obviously a really, really fascinating renewal of the Ebor. Let's cut to the Melrose Handicap. This is 225 mile and 6 race as well, so there's obviously going to be a lot to chat about here. I'll actually start with you on this one, Bill, before we get to Dr. Parnassus, which is Sil's ride. This is a minefield.
Yeah, it's a minefield, and I've backed plenty of disappointments in this race over the years. It's very hard. It's hard to get right. My eyes were drawn to two. The first one was the obvious one, the top one, King of the Castle. It was around 10-1, which I thought was the biggest price for a horse that could be anything of Aidan O'Brien's King of the Castle. He seems to be. He looks like a real stayer.
He does. If you watched him at Limerick the last year, what did he go off 4-9? If there's a moment about 2.5 furlongs down where you're worrying, and he then ends up winning by 4 lengths, 4.5 lengths easily, and massive positive that he steps up and trip.
Yeah, and some of the earlier runs were in April and May. He was kind of in the Derby mix as a possible potential outsider, King of the Castle. Don't forget that he's by Galileo out of Remember When. I mean, that's unbelievable from a breeding point of view. So he could be taking this en route to a St. Ledger. And Ryan Moore's obviously riding at Sandown, but I thought King of the Castle was interesting. Off despite the big weight, I thought he'd still run his race because I think he's a very well-bred horse who will relish the trip and could book a trip to the St. Ledger. So I thought he was interesting. And the other one was Imperial Sun, the Gosden horse, who won an egg and spoon race at Wolverhampton last time, but won by miles. And I know he's up £10 for that run, but again, he's by See the Stars, nicely bred, looks like he relished the trip. The further they went there, the better he looked. And I just thought those two, they're both kind of around 8-10-1. I thought Imperial Sun and King of the Castle were the key for me.
And he's actually a half brother to Harbour Law as well. When you're talking about pedigrees in terms of race, if you're worried about, the possible favourite King of the Castle will be obviously desperate, I'd imagine, William Buick to get handy from gate 13. It's all the more difficult for Sil, who you just didn't get much luck with the draw here. Sil, Dr. Parnassus drawn 20. What are your thoughts going into the race? And you're doing 8 stone 2 as well, so plenty of stuff for you to overcome.
Yeah, and then big races like off the long trip, sometimes when you carry low weights pay off, and I don't have the best draw, but with a low weight on his back, and I hope to be prominent on him, trying to tuck in a bit, force 5, force 6 horse and ride my race from there. And the advantage of we got here is just carry low weight, so we have to make every advantage from the gate with the weight he carries.
How difficult is it at York in a big field like this, even over that trip where you're drawing 20? How difficult is it, and can you effectively lose your race in the first furlong or two?
Absolutely, yeah. But we have the whole back straight to think about and to choose where you want to be, and other than go too wide. You have to be very sharp mentally and breaking sharp, bring the horse to the best place possible where you can get in.
And your horse, a half brother to Metier, the good herder as well. What do you make of his chance all in all? It's a big field, very, very competitive race.
It's a competitive race, but like they would say, the advantage he gets in this race is the weight. I hope can pay off, but looks stand out for me. The top horse, the King of the Castle, so he's the one everyone has to beat.
Yeah, he's a fascinating runner, and our viewers will obviously observe that Sil is not driving. He's been driven chauffeur to the races. Such is the life of the top-class jockey. Bill and I can only dream of being driven to the races. But, Sil is, I guess, like L'Oreal, he is worth it. Let's get on to the 3 o'clock, the City of York Stakes, and this is another very interesting race. You are on a long shot here, obviously, 5,000 to 1. He's not quite that price, Sil, but he's not much shorter than that.
No, he's not, and it's a tight race, and he has put some good works at home, but he hasn't turned up into the track. But I just hope he can shine in a big stage,
This is a horse obviously that has promised plenty. He's by Frankel, very, very good form as a 2-year-old. Hasn't really happened for him this year for some reason.
He hasn't really happened. He has second in Group 2s, and I think obviously. You get Space Blue out there is a really talented horse, but if he turns up to his best form, he should be very competitive.
The big words, and what's interesting here, Bill, this horse is interesting in terms of the debate about Galileo's replacement as a stallion, because if Frankel is to be his replacement, the problem Frankel has as a stallion is he gets a lot of horses who are a little bit quirky, and this horse has been essentially averse to settling in these races.
Yeah, and I think, like Silv says, I'm not sure we've seen the best of 5,000 to 1 yet. There's too many people involved with this horse who think he's a very good horse for him not to be a good horse, and that's the key with him. And he just needs everything to click. And one of these days he's going to click. Whether it's in this race or not remains to be seen. This is again It's a Group 2 by name, but there's some Group 1 horses in there, and it's going to be very tough to beat the likes of Space Blues. I mean, the market told you that Space Blues wasn't ready for Goodwood on his reappearance when he got beaten behind Kinross. But wow, he got within 3/4 of a length of Kinross. For a horse that was unfancied in the market, suggested after a bit of a break. He'd been off for 122 days since his kind of travels to the Middle East. But he was back with a bang, and he'll be primed for this. Conditions are perfect, 7 furlongs, good ground, as long as he doesn't get too quick, but he's won on that as well. Space Blue sets the bar really high. He'll be hard to beat, but no, you can make a case for 5,000 to 1 running well, but whether he needs to dip beneath his glass to get his head in front, maybe he does. I thought Primo Baccio would run well too, the filly down the bottom. I thought 7 furlongs on fast ground would be perfect for her. I thought she could run well, but no, I think Space Blues is the most likely winner.
In fairness, Space Blues looks pretty bulletproof and very straightforward horse. Come on from the run the last day, but still, you wouldn't necessarily put off people backing yours at a big price.
No, definitely not. I think he should finish in the first 3 for sure.
Yeah, and you're getting finishing the first 3, you're getting a massive big price. We're going to conclude here with yeah. And obviously a lot would depend on how he settles in the race and the pace and so forth, but a lot of ability there. We'll conclude with the 4:45, which is a handicap over an extended 10 furlongs, and the horse that many will be familiar with, the Kingman bred Arian Power. Obviously, was third Cadar last time, so we'll stick with you on this one, Sil. And this is a horse who's run some very, very good races.
Yeah, he has. He ran a good race last time out, and he finished 3rd, and got a good draw. I hope things can play to our hand, and he'll like the ground for sure. He's a horse that's not dependent on the ground, so it's just I hope to be in the right place, the right time, But he's a competitive handicap.
Will he be better in a big field?
I don't think he's a horse you can pick and then say he's an improving horse, and so that's the only race, the option we have to go for him.
And he's relatively unexposed at a 1.2 miles or so.
Yes, but it's a tight race, and and you got the horse like Migration, and you got Cadre there, and it's tight. It's a tight race. It's a good race.
And the same owner's Good Birthday drawn 17, where you're drawn 3.
I hope I choose the right one. the draw is in my side anyway.
Yeah, David Probert obviously having to deal with gate 17. This is an interesting race, Bill. Plenty in with chances.
Yeah, really good race. It's fun up. And lots of the races at York this week have been really good. The ones where when ITV go off air, there's some really good races. And this is no different. This is a proper Saturday race run very late on in the afternoon. Silv had a difficult choice between those two. I think he's probably on the right one. The 2 for me, I'm very interested in number 15, Waran. The Sir Michael Stout horse. He's up £10, but he won last time like he could be up. But he still looks like a horse that should be rated over 100. And Waran over 1.25 miles on decent ground is very interesting. And the other one I would mention would be Strait of Hormuz, who we last saw in action off a £4 lower mark when he was behind Johnny Drama over this course and distance, basically, in essence, in the John Smith Cup. And really caught the eye, kept on really well. He was just held. This was obviously the plan since he's only £4 higher, in good nick. We know he handles the track, and I think he'll run really well. So I'll go Strait of Hormuz and Waran. Which
is a straight between the Persian Gulf and Oman, as it turns out. And obviously, Qadar has gone up in the weights from beating Silsmount the last time, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Your nap of the day, Bill Esdaile.
I would probably go with Strait of Hormuz. I think he'll run really well in that last race.
Ever been to Oman?
I've never been to Oman, but if he wins, why don't I go there and have a look?
Well, yeah, it might cost you a few quid. What's your best ride of the day, Sil?
I really like 5,000 to 1.
Wow!
It's a big prize, so I go for a big prize. I think it'll be
hopefully you're watching highlights of this. You're watching it after the race on Saturday and toasting Sil for a massive prize winner. Have a great day, Sil.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bill, are you going to be in York? Are you going to be elsewhere?
Elsewhere, sadly, not at York. Love to be at York, but no, elsewhere. So, yeah, no York for me today.
Keeping his cards very, very close to his chest there, as does our Bill Esdaile, except when he's given tips, obviously, for winners and big price winners at that. Thanks a million, guys.
Take care.
Thank you.
Tommy.
And that was the Zoom room looking ahead to the last day of the York Festival. Check out the website and do remember our Pip to the Post offer.